Hello. So today I saw this video on somebody else's channel. I think it was Books and Lala, where they're talking about their favorite book for each year they've been alive. I thought that was fun. Their big question was, have I read a book for every year I've been alive? And I knew that I had. So it's like, my question is not that. My question is, what's my favorite? So I went back on Goodreads, and I went through, and then I scrolled down to 1997 because my first book on there was the Iliad, and they had that put as a -600. So there's that. But I'm gonna talk about them. I'll put up pictures. I'm not going to hold them up because I don't want to dig them out. I don't probably still have all of them. But yeah, let's talk about 1997. I was born in July. So my favorite book that I've read that was published in 1997 was The Blob That Ate Everyone by R.L. Stine. There was like a good selection here between Goosebumps and Animorphs and Stephen King, where I'm like, I knew that for the 90s I was gonna get everything just because of those three things. But The Blob That Ate Everyone was one of my favorite Goosebumps books. I loved The Blob That Ate Everyone. It was so fun. The main character was a writer. I think his name was Zeke or something, which I always thought was cool. Hold on. Let me double check. It was Zaki, which I thought was even cooler. But no, I always loved The Blob That Ate Everyone. All right. For 1998, I turned 1 year old. My favorite book that is published in 1998 is Glamorama by Bret Easton Ellis. Glamorama was my favorite book of, I want to say 2021, 2022. I loved it so goddamn much, and I'm rereading it hopefully this year, sometime soon-ish. But no, Glamorama was my first Bret Easton Ellis book, and I loved it to pieces. So for sure, that one. 1999, another favorite, Battle Royale, came out in 1999. I turned 2, Battle Royale comes out. I actually watched the movie for Battle Royale first. I watched the movie because my English teacher recommended it to me, and then I read the book. And I'm kind of glad I did it that way because I think otherwise I would have been mad about all the differences between the movie and the book. But the way I did it, I watched the movie first, so I wasn't mad about all that. So, very exciting. 2000, I turned 3 years old, and Stephen King comes out with On Writing. 2000 was kind of weak for books that I've read that were my favorites, but I do think that On Writing is consistently is a very solid writing memoir. And it is a writing advice book and it's a memoir. It is definitely both, and I think it's very good, and I think people recommend it for a reason. 2001, I turned 4 years old. Dreamcatcher comes out. We got King 2 years in a row. Yes, it's Dreamcatcher, so 2001 was also kind of weak. But I actually really do enjoy Dreamcatcher. I know it's ridiculous. I know it's super gross, but I kind of like that. I really like Dreamcatcher. 2002, I turned 5 years old. I go to kindergarten, and Devil's Knot comes out. Devil's Knot by Mara Leveritt. So I was first introduced to the West Memphis 3 thing, and if you were around previously, you'll know this is a long-running thing. Hello, I wrote a book about it. But I was first introduced through the last podcast on the left episodes. They recommended Devil's Knot, which I then read and annotated heavily. No, I think it's a fantastic piece of true crime nonfiction, and it was the best book of 2002. 2003, I turn 6 years old. I go to first grade, and We Need to Talk About Kevin comes out. I read We Need to Talk About Kevin a while ago. I haven't read it in a while. I think it's on my it's on my pile of books that I want to reread. But it really gripped me the first time I read it. I only read it because, okay, here's the thing. Before Ezra Miller went crazy, he was super cool. He was super, super cool because he was in Perks of Being a Wallflower, and he was awesome, and he was like kind of at that point he was kind of like ambiguously queer, which was cool. And I loved him. He was in We Talk About Kevin, he was in Beware the Gonzo. I really liked him, and that's the whole reason I read the book. It was really, he was fucking awesome in We Talk About Kevin, because that is the role that he was born to play. But no, the book was great. I loved it. All right, 2004, I turned 7. I am homeschooled for 2nd grade, and The Dark Tower comes out. The Dark Tower, I've read the full series. I'm talking about just the last book here, but I've read the full series several times. At least 2 or 3 times in its entirety. I've read other random books a random amount of times, but The Dark Tower always makes me cry, without fail. Not that that's hard, I cry a lot. All right, 2005. I turn 8. I go back to regular school for 3rd grade, and Flush by Carl Hiaasen comes out. This is a childhood book for me. I really liked Flush and Hoot. I liked both those books so much. And Flush was just fun. It was fun. It was kind of gross. It was kind of edgy. I was probably reading it in 2005. I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, no, loved it. 2006. I turned 9 years old. I hope I'm still on math right. I turn 9 years old. I go to 4th grade, and The Ruins by Scott Smith, right? Yes, by Scott Smith comes out. This is a recent read, and it has that trope where a character like thinks something's inside of them and then tries to carve it out of their skin, and that always gets me. It always gets me without fail. All right, 2007. I turn 10 years old. I go into the 5th grade, and Encyclopedia Horrifica comes out. Encyclopedia Horrifica was my fucking Bible as a kid. It was my Bible. I loved Encyclopedia Horrifica so much. It's just this, all the like nonfiction stuff behind like werewolves and stuff, and I loved it. I loved it so much. It was so good. I loved it. All right, 2008. I turn 11. I go into the 6th grade, and Confessions comes out. So like nobody is doing horror like the Japanese, except for like maybe Native Americans. Like Japanese horror and thriller content is just so good. It's so good. It's messed up. It's freaky, and I love the writing style. And Confessions, not an exception. All right, 2009. I turn 12 years old. I go into the 7th grade, and Malice comes out. I thought Malice was a lot older than that because I remember reading it as a kid, but I guess it came out in 2009, so I guess I was reading it as a preteen. But Malice is so cool. It's like part graphic novel, part regular novel about these kids who get sucked into a comic book and they'll die horribly in there, and I ate it up. I ate it up. All right, 2010. I turn, how old are we now? Either way, it's 2010. I'm not talking You by Carolyn Kepnes. I'm talking You by Charles Benoit, which was written in second person. And this was before I read Homestuck, so this was the first thing I'd ever read in second person. And it was just wild to me that it could be, something could be written in second person. All right, 2011. I'm not even doing the age thing anymore because I messed it up. I don't know where I'm at. Okay for Now comes out, and Okay for Now I didn't read until I was an adult. I didn't read until I was in college, but it's a middle grade book, and it made me just so desperately sad. It is such a desperately sad book, and it is just heart-wrenching in every possible way. All right, 2012, Aristotle and Dante comes out. I am in, hold on, I graduate here. So senior, I'm in my sophomore year. I can't do this number stuff. Either way, I'm in late middle or early high school when Ari and Dante comes out. And when Ari and Dante comes out, it is like this, it's a huge deal. It's a huge deal because I believe Simon Versus had already come out, and that had been very, very, very well received. And so Ari and Dante comes out, and it's beautifully written. It's so wonderful. It's beautiful. It's a very fast read. I think it made me cry. Best book of 2012, 2013. I don't know how I made it this far without getting one of these books on here, but I had to put the last book on here. Best book of 2013 was Light by Michael Grant. The Final Gone book. I almost put Gone on for whenever it came out. I think 2007 or something like that. But Light truly is the best Gone book. And it makes me cry every single time. And I bought this and read it as soon as it came out. All right. 2014, this is another book I bought and read as soon as it came out because it was compared to, I think, The Chocolate War and Lord of the Flies, and like that's a really good way to get me to read a book is compared to those two books, particularly Lord of the Flies. Brutal Youth by Anthony Breznican. This man has not written a single thing since, and I'm so mad about it because Brutal Youth was so good. I loved Brutal Youth. Again, this was a pre-order for me. I think it came in the summer between junior and senior year of high school, and I adored it. 2015, I graduated high school in 2015. And Black Iris by Leah Rader came out, and Black Iris was my top book of 2015. I loved Black Iris. I recently reread it, and it holds up, for me, at least. So, there's that. 2016 was hard, until I came across the fact that Beartown came out in 2016, and once Beartown got on in the running, there was no way that anything else was ever gonna beat it. It's Beartown. 2017. I'm in college, and Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue comes out, and it blows the fuck up. Gentleman's Guide was everywhere when it came out. Everybody was reading it. Everybody loved it. Mackenzie Lee was everybody's new favorite until she started like signing other people's books, and then that was a little bit weird. But Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue, so good, so fun. I actually just got a new copy recently because my other copy, I think I gave it to my little sister, and I'm excited to reread it. 2018. This is a book I read recently. I won it from Goodreads. Lawn Boy. Lawn Boy was so genuine. Lawn Boy was really voicey in a really good way. I really liked Lomboy. It was just like 2018 was like kind of weak just for the fact that like just like a solid book made it, but it was just a solid book. All right, 2019. This is a book that I read this year. It was so good. It just blew me away. Nickel Boys. This won some kind of, was it a Pulitzer? I think it won something. I think it was a Pulitzer or something like that. And it's for a good reason because it's an amazing book. Nickel Boys, so good. 2020 and 2021, we got the same author repeat, just like Stephen King did in 2000, 2001. So 2020, the best book published that I've read, The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. And so 2021, naturally, is My Heart is a Chainsaw by Stephen Graham Jones. Stephen Graham Jones is like the best horror author writing today. And like, I'm not exaggerating. I'm not just saying that. Like, the only good horror writers that aren't gay are named Stephen with a PH. That's how it goes. All right, 2022, Backman's back. The Winners came out in 2022, and The Winners destroyed me. So much. I really want to reread Us Against You because like both Beartown and The Winners are on this list, but Us Against You isn't. I remember like scrolling and seeing it, I think like 2018 or something like that, and I was like, yeah, I could go with not doing that one there. And I've only read Us Against You once. I guess I've only read The Winners once too, but it was more recent. So like, yeah, no, The Winners was great though. All right, so 2023, last year, best book that came out last year was my favorite book of last year. It's The Shards, Bret Easton Ellis. Ellis does it again. Ellis makes his way onto the list again. I should go back and count which authors have been on here twice because there are a couple. And Ellis, The Shards was beautiful. In 2024, I don't have that many for 2024 that I've read, so I ended up with The Storm We Made, which was really tragic and really good, and I enjoyed it. So the ones who are on here twice, Ellis, Bret Easton Ellis, that's who that is, Frederick Backman, Stephen Graham Jones. Oh, Stephen King's on here 3 times. Stephen King wins, but that's just because I've been reading him since I was 12, so there's that.